Alright guys, so for today's lesson, we're going to be talking about polynomials, okay, and specifically today about adding and subtracting them. So just a couple definitions up top that I want to point out. When we talk about the degree, okay, that's talking about the sum of the exponents of the variables, okay, and so we'll talk about that down here. Now a polynomial, okay, is a monomial. All right, we'll talk about that down here, or the sum or difference of more than one monomial called terms. Okay. So when we talk about the degree of a polynomial, it is the greatest degree of any of the terms. Okay. So down here I've got charts that talk about naming different polynomial expressions. All right. So you'll see here. This right here is considered a polynomial, okay? And it's degree 0 because it doesn't have a variable, okay? So there's no variable. So it's considered degree 0, and this is what we call a constant. Right? When there's a polynomial like, let's say, 4x, the degree here, okay, when we don't have an exponent, it's 1, so we call that linear. Here, okay, this is a polynomial. It's multiple terms. So this has 3 terms, okay? But notice the highest exponent is 2. So we call this a quadratic, right? Negative 5x to the third. This is only one monomial, but the highest degree is 3, so we call it a cubic. Now, down here, you might see, how is this degree 4? I don't see an exponent of 4. This right here is one term, 4x squared y squared. And so to find the degree, we have to add the exponents together. And so that makes a degree 4. Now, after degree 3, we don't have special names for it, so we just call it a 4th degree. If it's degree 5, we say a 5th degree, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, that's naming it based off of the degree. Okay. These are all of the names for a degree. We can also name it based off of the number of terms. So over here, instead of degree, this should say number of terms. All right, that should be number of terms. So for instance, the first one, 4x, we only have one term, so we call it a monomial. This one, we have 2 terms. X is a term and 7 is a term, so we call it a binomial. This one has 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, so that's a trinomial. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Terms are separated by addition or subtraction. Okay? That has 4 terms, so it's just called a polynomial. Anything greater than 4, we just call a polynomial. Okay? So anything greater than 4 is a polynomial. All right, so we're going to take a look at some just naming these here. So we're going to name it 2 ways. We're going to name it based off the degree and the number of terms. Okay, so for the first one, there's just one term. Okay, one term. That means it is a monomial. However, the degree, the x has an exponent of 1, this has an exponent of 2, so the degree is 3. So it is a cubic. Okay? All right, for B here, we have 2 terms. Okay, so this is a binomial. And the highest degree is 3. All right, degree 3, so we call a degree 3, once again, a cubic. Okay. For C, there are 1, 2, 3 terms. So 3 terms, we name a trinomial. Okay, 3 terms is a trinomial. And the degree this time, okay, out of each of the terms, the x and the y, we have 1, 2. This has a degree of 1. This has a degree of 1. So degree 2, we call it a quadratic. Right? And the last one, we have 1, 2, 3 terms. So it is a trinomial. Right? And the highest degree, we have 3, 2, and 0. So it is degree 3. So we call it a cubic. Okay? So that's just the basics on how we name polynomials. Okay? That's just naming. So you'll see a couple questions on your assignment after this on naming as well. So you'll just follow these charts. Okay? All right. Example 2. Writing the polynomials in standard form. So standard form is the form of a polynomial in which the terms are written in descending order according to their degree. Okay, so descending order according to their degree. So when we look at this first one, okay, we're going to look and see, all right, this is a degree 1, this is degree 0, 3, 4, and 2. So we start off by writing 6x to the 4th. Then we write the negative x to the 3rd. Then the negative 3x squared. Then the 7x and then minus 5. Okay, that's it. All right, for B, okay, this is 2, 1, 0. So we say negative 8y to the 2nd plus 2y minus 3. Okay, that's standard form, writing them in descending order according to their degree. All right, example 3. All right, so it's talking about adding and subtracting monomials. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms. So like terms are variable expressions with exactly the same variable factors. Okay? So when I take a look at A, what we want to do is we want to look for the same variable factors. So 3x squared and x squared, those are the same. 4x and 2x, those are the same. 5 is the only constant. Okay? So when we combine like terms, we take our x squareds. This is 3x squared and this is 1x squared. So those become 4x squared. The 4x and the 2x becomes a positive 6x, so we're going to say plus 6x. And then the 5 becomes plus 5. That's your answer. Okay? All right. For part B, combine like terms. We have 4x squared and a negative x squared. We have a negative 3x and 3x. So the 4x squared and negative 1x squared, okay, that's like 4 minus 1, becomes 3x squared. Negative 3x and 3x become 0x, which this just cancels out. So our answer is 3x squared. Okay? All right, the next one. All right, looking through here, all right, we've got a 7y to the 3rd, 5y to the 3rd. I've got a y and a y, and we have a constant. Okay? So we want to combine the like terms by adding the coefficients. All right, so 7 and 5, those become 12y to the 3rd. Negative 3y and negative 2y become negative 5y. And the 7, we just put on at the end. Okay? All right, pretty simple. All right. So that's combining like terms, which we need to do examples 4 and 5. Okay, so on example 4, we are talking about adding polynomials. Okay, so first, if there's anything to distribute outside the parentheses, we want to do that. Okay, so on example 4a, there's nothing outside of the parentheses, right? Nothing here. So all we're going to do, if there's nothing outside, we can drop the parentheses. Okay, we can drop the parentheses and then combine like terms. So I've only got one x squared term, I've got two x terms, and I've got the 3 and the 5. So we've got x squared, I've got my 2x and 4x, which becomes 6x, 3 and 5, which becomes 8. Right. For B, same thing. There's nothing outside the parentheses to distribute, and we're adding, so we can drop the parentheses. Okay, we drop the parentheses. We identify the like terms. There's my 3x squareds. That's my only x term. And then my constants. Right? So we combine the x's, 4 and 3. It becomes 7x squared. This is plus 2x. And then negative 3 and 6 becomes a positive 3. Okay? Alright. And the last one, example 5. Okay, so example 5 is subtracting. So the big difference with subtracting, okay, is notice that, remember how I said if there's nothing outside the parentheses, okay, we can just drop the parentheses. But here we have a subtraction. So we have to distribute the negative. Okay, so this becomes a negative 3x squared. The 5x becomes a negative 5x. The negative 8 becomes a positive 8. Okay, we subtract. There's nothing outside here, so we can just drop these. Okay. Once we've done that, then we combine like terms. 6 and the negative 3, the 3x and the negative 5x, the negative 2 and the 8. So 6x minus 3 becomes 3x squared. 3x and negative 5x becomes negative 2x. Negative 2 and 8 becomes 6. Okay. Let's take a look at one more of these. So the second one has the negative. So this becomes a negative 3x squared minus 6, like that. The first one doesn't have anything outside the parentheses, so we drop it. Okay. And then we combine like terms. So my 4x squared minus 3x becomes x squared. 2x, that's the only 2x. Negative 3, negative 6 is negative 9. That's it. Okay. All right, so you guys have your assignment on Math Excel that you have the class time to complete.